Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, in response to lots and lots of requests, I am going to be running through my spring wardrobe staples. Now these are pieces which I know I get a lot of wear out of and have done in previous years, but I also have some pieces here which I'm kind of preempting that I'm hoping to get a lot of wear out of this spring. Lockdown permitting, because of course we may still be in lockdown through the majority of spring, but only time will tell. Right, let's get stuck in. So my first category is basics. But before I get stuck into this, I just want to say that I am doing a full dedicated video to basics because that is a very highly requested video. You guys want to know what my favorite brands are, my favorite styles, colors, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do a full dedicated video and that will hopefully be up next week, so stay tuned for that. Now in terms of styling basics, it is very much a weather permitting scenario. This time last year we actually had a heat wave and I was sat outside in shorts and t-shirts, so it was great. I could wear the basics on their own. However, they're also a really good building block for starting as a base layer or just layering underneath something like a light piece of outerwear, like a trench coat or a blazer, or a light knit like a cardigan or something, but I'll even wear them underneath lighter knits like jumpers, like kind of what I have on here, if I need like almost like a thin thermal layer. So obviously now we're out of winter, it's not as cold, but still on those chillier spring days, especially in the morning where there does start to be lower temperature, then I might find that I want to have a basic underneath just for that little extra layer of warmth. Right, category number 2 is jewellery. Now jewellery has always been a really kind of strong accessory for me. It's something that I always reach for, especially because I have such a basic and minimal style. It's nice to be able to add pieces of jewellery to kind of amp up an outfit or to just give it just even a hint of detail. Now, as I mentioned in the How I Plan My Wardrobe for Spring video, I have noticed a shift in my style over the last year due to the circumstances of the world. And that even goes as far as my jewellery styling habits. Of course, I just found that over the last year, we weren't necessarily getting properly dressed as much as we normally would in normal times. And I found that I was getting a little bit complacent with jewellery. I wasn't really layering as much as what I used to. So my habits in terms of jewellery have definitely changed. But this is why I love Mejuri, because they have really minimal pieces. They're so easy to wear, easy to style. And I just find that they fit in really well with my personal style and I get a lot of wear out of them. And also, as I've mentioned before, because they have the real gold collection, which isn't gold plated or gold vermeil, so therefore it doesn't tarnish, I don't need to worry about taking it off, and this combats that laziness problem. That said, I do like to mix it up from time to time, and as I've just touched on basics, I feel like jewellery is a really good one to follow along from that, because jewellery is probably one of the main accessories that I use to dress up a basic, especially when I'm wearing it on its own. So it could be anything from a simple chain necklace like what I've got on now. I wear this one a lot, it's one of my favourite pieces. I feel like it adds kind of a 90s vibe to it, especially when worn with like a racerback vest. And then also the basic bangle. There's a few different styles of these. Some are gold vermeil and some are the real gold. I just find it really wearable. In fact, I haven't taken this one off in months. I just wear it every single day. And then also my faithful hoop and diamond stud combination, and then with the tiny little diamond stud that I have in my Tragus as well. And as you guys know, this little combination that I've got in my ears at the moment is one that I tend to sleep in and shower in because all of those pieces are real gold. But from time to time, I'll swap out these medium hoops and add a hoop that's perhaps a little bit chunkier, just to add a little bit more of a statement to my ear combination, or even something with a little bit more detail, like these little crisscross hoops, which are really pretty. They're quite dainty and small, and they're actually from the new collection, which is a collaboration with Goop. And also within that collection, there's a really cool necklace which has got a little bit more of a chunky chain to it. And as you can see, there's a section right at the front there where the chain is super, super chunky. And I love that paired with a basic, whether it be a t-shirt or a vest, but it even looks quite cool as well if you wear it under a shirt and have your shirt unbuttoned like a certain amount, and you can kind of just see that gold chunky chain peeping through. It's so 90s. I absolutely love it. Right, moving on to category number 3, and it is Jeans, not surprisingly, because I wear jeans all year round. They're not just a spring or a summer or an autumn or a winter fixture within my wardrobe. They're an all year rounder. However, if we're being specific about spring jeans, I feel like one of the kind of style criteria about a pair of spring jeans that I would go for is definitely colour. So I am definitely favouring more of the lighter wash of the blues rather than darker blue washes. So this one is kind of like a mid to light wash, and both of these jeans actually are the ones that featured in last week's video, so you guys would have already seen these, but I just think that they're an excellent example of what I would class as a really good pair of spring jeans. They're a straight leg, they have a slightly cropped fit to them, which I think is a second point in style criteria, what I would look for in spring jeans. If they're a little bit cropped, you don't really need to worry so much about drafty ankles because the weather technically in spring should start to improve. Heat wave or not, it should at least be better than winter. And that way you can wear them and really show off loafers, sandals, trainers, whatever kind of spring footwear you desire. I think the key with denim is finding the right denim for you that fits nicely and that's comfortable. Comfort is definitely a factor when going for those pub lunches. Right, now moving on to my first footwear category within spring wardrobe staples. And again, you guys would have seen these in last week's video, what's new in my wardrobe. It's loafers, just loafers in general, whatever kind of loafer floats your boat. I just find that in spring, I go for loafers a lot more than I would say boots. I mainly wear them with denim, it has to be said. I just find that a pair of loafers with denim, it has that really kind of 90s vibe to it. If you're thinking like Julia Roberts in that end scene of Pretty Women where she wears the blazer, she's got a pair of loafers on and those amazing fitting jeans. That for me is just outfit perfection. It's not overthought, it's not fussy, it's just absolutely perfect. And I think loafers are a really good way to kind of add that slightly smarter touch to outfits that involve jeans. They're just basically what I would say are my spring alternative to a pair of boots, because of course in spring that's when you can start to get your ankles out. Right, category number 5 is moving on to outerwear. And as you would have seen in my wardrobe switchover video, I've pretty much cleared out and packed away for the seasons my autumn winter like proper thick wool coats. I kept a couple out as a just in case, but for the most part it was time to whip out my trenches, which are lighter outerwear. So this is a Massimo Dutti one. I do believe I bought this secondhand, hashtag secondhand grand, off eBay last year, and I think this might have been in my, I can't remember the title, but it was something along the lines of what I bought secondhand during lockdown. I might have absolutely just nailed that, but it was in that video. It's a really beautiful fluid trench. It's not fully lined, so it is very light, but it's this really gorgeous floaty fabric. It's not structured like my Burberry trench, so it moves really nicely. And I had, even though we were kind of still in lockdown and then not in lockdown and we had a bit of freedom and then not so much freedom, I still got so much wear out of this trench last year. But I have a few other trenches as well. I have about, I think 4 trenches. I have a black one, which I've now finally added into my wardrobe after I said that was something that I wanted to add. And I just think it's such an easy wearable piece. I love the way they move. Again, super, super basic in terms of styling. I'll just wear a basic underneath, whether it be a shirt or a t-shirt or a light knitwear, pair of jeans or trousers, just keeping it really, really minimal. And this is just my spring version of a coat, which is exactly the definition of a trench. Right, footwear category number 2, and category in general number 6 maybe, is sandals. I wore a pair of sandals for the first time out of the house the other day. It was definitely premature and I had to sit in the car and defrost my feet when we got back in from Sainsbury's for about 15 minutes because my feet were like blocks of ice. So I may have jumped the gun a little bit there, but the weather is starting to warm up. Next week we have a day which is 17 degrees. I'm very excited. I will be wearing sandals, I can guarantee you that much. I've already done a pedicure, so it's gonna happen. Now, as you might have seen over on my Instagram, I have been putting up a couple of outfits here and there, and I have been styling sandals with like long wide leg floaty trousers. I just really like that look. I think it's super casual, really comfortable, and I just like the way that the trousers fall over the sandals. It's just something I find aesthetically pleasing. So that is definitely kind of a styling thing which I'm going for at the moment. But then sandals, you know, they can go with anything. Next up is skirts and dresses. I've put these two in the same category because I personally put them in the same category. I just kind of view them as one sort of entity, if you will. But in terms of styling, I just think a dress in itself, I had a dress from last year, which was from Massimo Dutti, and it was so minimal. It had like a pleated bottom half and then almost like a racer back vest joined to the top. That just with a bag and a pair of sandals, so minimal, like a 3-item outfit, but it worked and I felt so good in it. I felt so confident and I didn't feel like I was too fussy or faffy. And I think that's kind of my rule of thumb when it comes to styling these kind of things. And that's essentially what I would do the same with this skirt. I'd probably pair this with a basic vest and then maybe a blazer if it was still a little bit chilly. I think I'm going to get a lot more wear out of this come the summer months, and I am excited for that. However, there may be those days where I'm going to be able to whip out the skirt and style it perhaps with a piece of chunky knitwear even as well. I quite like that look as well. Bit of chunky knitwear and some chunky sandals. Right, now moving on to another accessory, and it is bags. Now, bags for spring, I think it's a given that this is when we start to reach for canvas, for basket bags, for woven leather, and also for like lighter colorways of leather. So I showed you guys last week the cream leather bag that I had a lighter grey one. So this is when you start to go for, or I find that I start to go for the lighter colours, and definitely these more spring summer orientated fabrics. And actually I think that spring summer bags have a lot more power and a lot more styling oomph when it comes to adding it to an outfit. I think they can really change the vibe of an outfit. Even if you're just wearing something super basic like jeans and a t-shirt, you can add in a summer bag, a basket bag or a canvas bag, and I think that it can instantly transform the outfit. And almost by looking at someone you can tell what season it is because of their bag. I really like styling them with trenches as well, even on the slightly cooler days, because again, it just makes me feel a little bit more spring summery. But yes, spring bags, canvas, wicker, all of that good stuff. Moving on to my next category, and it is another tops category, and it's oversized shirts. Funnily enough, I do probably have a most worn summer shirt. I'd imagine it's in the wash, which is why I haven't brought it down. And that would be a white oversized shirt. And that's always something which over the years I've always said is a really good staple to have in your wardrobe. So this is where I would tend to do, I was gonna say play around with prints. I'm not playing around with prints, am I? Let's face it, these are just stripes. I actually always think of my dad when I think of a striped shirt. So, this is why I tend to go for stripes in just shirts, because I like that kind of masculine vibe to them. But then I also have some in the block colours. And as I mentioned before when I was talking about the jeans, I just think they're a really good kind of throw-on piece. Eventually these will become my knitwear of the spring summer season, so they will kind of be the item that I'll reach for the most because they're easy to throw on, loose fitting, therefore they have lots of ventilation in them, and they're easy to style with pretty much anything else I've got here on my wardrobe, predominantly jeans and also sort of like nice floaty trousers as well. Speaking of trousers, that's actually my next category. So I'm wearing some, these are my Lulu Studios trousers, which were also in last week's video. Sorry, we do have a lot of repeats in this video, but for good reason, because I do think about my purchases quite carefully. These here are another pair. As you can see, I've very much been drawn to the floaty wide leg and preferably elasticated waist styles. And yeah, I just think that they're a nice lighter alternative to jeans. If, like me, you prefer a denim which doesn't have any elastin in it, so therefore non-stretch denim, it can be not the most comfortable kind of bottom to sit in, especially if you're going and eating somewhere or if you're doing a lot of sitting down. Denim can be known to not be the most comfortable thing to wear. So these for me are a nice sort of everyday item. I don't think they need to be super dressy. I think paired with some sandals, with a basic, could layer over a blazer if you wanted to. I'm going to get onto blazers in a little bit, so don't you worry. But yeah, I think they can be something that can be dressed up or they can be dressed down. And for me, they're definitely going to be a really good daily staple that I'm going to be wearing a lot over the spring season. Blazers. I told you I was going to get to blazers. So I've got a couple here. This one at the front is actually my blazer that I did with the curated. This was one of the newer colours that we've done. This is, I think we decided to call this taupe. It is made of merino wool. Actually, this one's got a little bit of cashmere to it, but it's not heavy like a wool coat. So again, this kind of merino, super fine merino wool cashmere mix, any kind of blazer that's of a similar fabric, I will still wear through spring because I just think it's still very much appropriate, again, weather permitting. But I will also start to integrate in any of my linen blazers. This one actually is a newish addition to my wardrobe. I actually thought it was quite an interesting shape, like there's no lapel. There's no collar, there's no collar or anything here. It's really minimal kind of design, but still a little bit oversized. Linen fabric. It's actually a little bit heavier than my blazer, even though it's linen, because it's fully lined, and probably because it's a more oversized kind of style, there's more fabric there. But it works still just as well, kind of like the trench coat. It's a lighter weight option to a thick wool coat or something for the spring season, and something which is just really good for jeans, trousers, pretty much anything that's on my rail. Last footwear option, oh sorry, tickly nose. Last footwear option is trainers. I wear trainers all year round again, but definitely in spring I will still wear trainers. I'll pop them on those days, along with loafers, which aren't quite warm enough for sandals, or on days where I'm going to need to do a lot of walking and I know that sandals might not be the most comfortable option. Of course, trainers are always super, super comfortable. These are my new ones and they're just a basic white, but as you guys know, because of my passionate love for trainers, I have ample amounts of trainers. Of course, got all of my canvas Converse, which I love, pairing with trousers, floaty trousers. There was a lot of outfits that I styled last year in the sort of spring, summer seasons where I wore trousers with Converse. That was a real go-to look of mine. That's definitely something I'm going to be repeating this year. And then hoping to integrate these in, which of course are new to my wardrobe. These are just a basic plain pair of trainers. Hoping to work those into some of my outfits as well. And now my last category, which is knitwear. And I still have knitwear in my wardrobe all year round. I think when it comes to spring knitwear, I veer more towards the lighter knits. Super light, this one's actually really oversized. It's from Massimo Dutti. They always kind of come out with these lightweight jumpers every year. They're quite thin, but I just find that they almost work as like a really good basic, but something a little bit thicker if you didn't want a short sleeve t-shirt. And again, I just wear mine sort of slouched over, maybe even just sort of like a half tuck with a pair of trousers or tucked into a pair of high-waisted jeans. I quite like that look as well. But then also sleeveless knitwear or vests, whatever you want to call them. Again, it's definitely going to be one of those pieces of knitwear which you need to have your arms out, so you kind of need the weather to be able to have your arms out. You could layer it over a shirt, but I think that works a bit better with slightly smaller sleeveless knits and not something as oversized as this, but that's just my personal preference and how I personally would style it. I like the bare arms look with this and layered completely over the top, not tucked in or anything at all. I mean, it is quite a big, bulky knit, this one, so not the sort of thing that would be easy to tuck in without a lot of excess sort of weight around the middle, but definitely something I would wear just loosely layered over a pair of trousers or jeans. And yeah, it's a really nice look for spring, I think. Right, that is me done for today. Those were my spring wardrobe categories, with a few outfits thrown in there for good measure for anyone that may need any outfit inspiration for the season ahead. I'm hoping we get some nice weather over the next few weeks so we can all get chilling in the garden in our last few weeks of full-on lockdown. Here's hoping. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.